Excuse me. Okay. Hey, so greetings, Taurus. This is Tarot Lumination with your January 2018 Love and Relationship Report. Okay, so we've done this before. You've been here a few times, then you'd know the drill. Excuse me. Watch for your sun, moon, and rising. That's the protocol. It seems to work. And if you want to, do that cross-watching thing, okay? That seems to work too for some people. Cards are already well shuffled in advance. We're just doing it to the last second so that you're a witness. I like to have a really clear deck, okay? And break up the energy so it's just pristine for you, okay? We're going to use this crucible spread, okay? So it's about you, Taurus, a significant other, and then the relationship itself. We're in a healthy relationship. The crucible is the bowl, a very tough, enduring bowl in which the relationship is conducted, in which all the alchemical fermentations and joys and sorrows of the relationship are carried, okay? And in a loving relationship, the crucible is deeply cherished, okay? You invest in the crucible. You invest in the relationship. You conduct yourselves through the relationship. Honey, what can I do for you in the context of us? Oh, I don't know. I was just going to ask you. What can I do for you, honey? Instead of what are you trying to get out of me? What's going on? What you know, all the stuff that people do on autopilot. Okay, so I think we pretty much let's just do this, right? Sorry, I've done it for most of the charts, not everybody, but some. So you're probably aware, dear Taurus, that there's this massive Capricorn vortex going on, and it's coming up especially around the new moon, middle of January. 6 planets, Venus, Sun, Moon, Pluto, Mercury, Saturn, all piled up there, okay? It's a massive cluster. And for you, it's going to be up there in your 9th house of like wisdom, knowledge, foreign travel, higher consciousness, seeking greater wisdom, seeking greater knowledge and connection with, let's say, the great beyond, in your desire to integrate that and bring that all into your being for the next Saturn cycle, which would be Saturn in Aquarius 3 years from now, which is going to put you in very much to do with the public eye. Okay, so you're doing a lot of the next 3 years are very much going to be about higher learning. Let's put it that way. It could come out in many ways, like travel, distance, long distance travel, long distance communications, or short distance that have very long distance ramifications. Let's put it that way. It's really big picture stuff, big wide lens stuff, big open landscape perspectives, okay? And then integrating that through the Saturn cycle. So it could be tough at points. It could be very challenging, but it can also be extremely rewarding and satisfying, you know, and you'll see it more and more as the pattern moves on. Okay, Taurus. So let's just do it, okay? Here we go. All right. Let's cut it up. Bammo. Let's do a really intense cut. Okay. All right. Thanks for hanging in, Taurus. Thanks for your patience. This is your love energy that you're radiating. This is the love energy of a significant other, chosen relationship. This is deep inside of you, deep inside of the other, and this would be the relationship itself, the status, okay? The energy. Now, can you see the crucible shape here? Let's pretend that is the crucible in which the relationship is conducted. Instead of just like you and them, and then there's the rest of the world, it's you, the other, and the relationship. And you both own this, okay? To whatever degree. The higher the degree of ownership, the greater the chance of benevolence. Let's have a look. Over here would be the prospects. And under here, we're going to look at circumstantial energy. Just think of that as like surrounding prevailing weather conditions just for now, that and you're just going to make the best of it just by observation, or how is this going to work for you, or how is this challenging for you. And you have the 7 of Swords. So it's an indication that you need to be extremely careful right now what you say, how you say it, who you say it to, when you say it, where you say it, and for the reasons that you're saying it or not. If you are conducting yourself in a way that is, let's say, less than honorable, it could be that you might get away with it, or it could be that you might get found out. If you are, let's say, harboring, let's say, intentions that might not go down well with others, if they were noticed and perceived, that needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be understood. In other words, if you are being less than your most honorable self, you might get an awareness of that reflected back to you from your environment, or somebody or somewhere or something in your environment might be reflecting that back to you, and it might be important for you to know. It also indicates that it's about time that things are put to right, okay, in terms of truth, justice, and honor. That's what I feel, and that just doing whatever you have to do that, and just being very, very careful, because it's almost like the energy of walking into, let's say, very, very tricky, delicate situations, circumstances where you have to survive. You have to get through. And even if it means having to do, let's say, compromises with yourself and others in such a way that you would not normally choose. But that's, part of life. Sometimes we do that. Sometimes we have to be very, very, very careful about what we're doing and how we're doing it. Basically, stealth. This is the energy of stealth, okay? Being very, very stealthy, okay? Let's just make it neutral. Stealth is a very, very neutral term compared to all the other words that I was using, okay? So let's look at the energy of stealth and allow that the energy of stealth, being stealthy, is important to be aware of right now. What's going on inside of you? Okay, well, so you might be feeling as though you've scored right now, like you've done a really good job. And not only that, you are being recognized for being really awesome with who you are right now, okay? So even though this is not a cups card, it's perfectly okay to interpret it as loving and being loved, as in the context of this relationship reading. I think this is very much a moment where you have every right and reason to applaud yourself for having endured whatever you had to endure to get where you are right now, perhaps going through the whole Sagittarius thing with Saturn and Sagittarius for the last few years, which might have been very, very grueling for you in terms of, let's say, the intimacy of relationship, and coming out of the other side without too much damage, okay? To the point where you could say, actually, I did pretty well. It's amazing that you even survived it all. And so like right now in your world, in your environment, again, be very, very stealthy about how you conduct yourself, because you might be feeling like just amazing for having endured what you've endured, but also very, very aware that there's a whole new life cycle approaching that can be very challenging and might require you to continue to be very, very cautious and very, very, very careful. So if you're feeling this, even if it's internal and it's not very, if you're not going around blowing your own trumpet and telling everybody how amazing you are, you don't have to, obviously, and I don't think you would do that anyway. But this is also an understanding that you are very, very deeply appreciated in your world right now, especially by your significant others. Okay, I'm just trying to make it broad here. If we're talking about one in particular, okay, you are very deeply appreciated, to the point of like thank you so much, dear Taurus, for being who you are, doing what you're doing how you're doing it. You deserve all the good stuff that's coming to you, okay? And you might be getting that from your significant other, okay? And from your significant others in the broader field. So this is very good energy to spread around and share outside of the context of this love relationship, because the context of this love relationship might be the fuel itself for coming into this type of energy field here, where you are very radiant and appreciated for your radiance, for the love that you radiate, the passion, the vision, the mission and the courage and the love that you radiate, okay? Like, we all need this. Everybody needs this. We all need to know that there's someone out there who can do this, okay, for real. And it might just be you, Taurus. So we applaud you. We cheer you. We are grateful to you. We're happy for you. And we support you. Okay, what about the other? Okay, let's just say they are in a position where they are realizing that they have homework to do. They've got homework to do on themselves, uh, not only for themselves, but for the benefit of the relationship. Okay, I see this as very good news. I see this as someone taking a really good, hard, serious appraisal of the relationship, of the situation, and trying to figure out what to do, where to go from here, understanding that there is great value here in store and that is coming into fruition. And the worst thing that could happen is to squander this and waste all this by not doing the maintenance, by neglecting the weeding, the pruning, the tucking, the cleansing, the purifying, and the refining that has to go on in order to, let's say, foster, nurture, and harvest all this wonderful abundance here that is coming very much into evidence. So this is already someone who's very deeply invested, and they're realizing there's a whole lot more to go, a whole lot more to do. So they might be very much deeply in tune with you, but from a very different perspective. They might be seeing you, Taurus, as someone who's really worthy of their time and their investment and their love and their energy. And they're more than happy to do the housekeeping, the homework, and the nurture in order for things to evolve and grow from here. And they're also going to be very deeply aware while doing this. It's like when you do any kind of maintenance. I know energy flows where attention goes. If you let yourself get absorbed by the problems, then that takes over. But with the energy of maintenance, it's more about like, okay, let's figure out what's not working here. Where do we need to prune, tuck, fertilize, water, nurture, take care, do some healing in order so that we can keep the good stuff happening. That's a wholesome approach to like the relationship. And relationships do take work. This is okay. This doesn't look very exciting or romantic, but this is someone, Taurus, who really deeply cares and understands that relationships are a constant work in process. There's always periods of time where you need maintenance. Doing the maintenance, okay? It's just like this. Again, this is not very romantic, but it's like owning a car, owning a house, owning a business, owning a property, and you've got to do the maintenance. Otherwise, everything just falls apart, gets covered in weeds, mildew, gets virally infected, fungally infected, bacterially infected. You don't want that. Otherwise, all of the good stuff, all of this really yummy good stuff, becomes in jeopardy. So it might be an awareness in the context of this relationship, since it is a relationship reading. They may be aware of some of the pitfalls that lie ahead. They might be very aware of how delicate and fragile things may be, and that they're going to have to be very, very astute in order to get through this situation with you, Taurus. Because there's a lot at stake here as far as they're concerned. There's a lot at stake. But it's worth it to them because they see all of this in you, and they love this in you, okay? All right, let's have a look. What's going on deeper inside of you, okay? Okay. Well, for all this that we've just talked about, it might actually be quite disorienting for you in some ways, because it's like none of us have been here before. I mean, we even in the whole of our lifetimes, it's rare to have a kind of a cycle that we're facing right now. This massive new Capricorn wall of energy starting in the middle of January. That's a huge, huge thing. It's on the collective level. It's a very big thing too. I wrote about that in the little book, Wealth, Money, Finance, Global Restructuring, January 2020. That's the moment when Saturn in Capricorn lines up with Pluto in Capricorn. And the whole world is going to know that. And I have a feeling that you, Taurus, are already getting, you've got your antennas and feelers up already, and you're getting a glimpse of that. And you are deliberately getting yourself poised and ready by taking a very, very, let's say, humble approach to things, by looking at your relationship as something really awesome that you deserve, and that you've got a good mate here at your side who understands that and is willing to stick by you and invest for the long term. But deep down, you know that it's going to require you to be very, let's say, um, I'm taking this energy here, being even more careful than ever before, because we're taking, on this journey towards like that Capricorn thing for you, way up in the ninth house, higher wisdom, knowledge, aware, how that actually works. So you're going to bring that into the context of love and relationship. It could mean that you have to kind of be very, very deeply observant of yourself in the relationship process, in the process of living through the relationship, where you're constantly having to monitor yourself as though you're watching a movie of yourself the whole time, literally like being a movie editor on the go. Like sometimes they make movies like that. Well, they'll shoot a bunch of stuff and then they'll edit a lot of material as they go along because they can't afford to let things get too out of alignment and push it all to the end of the day and then have to figure it all out at the end. In other words, do the maintenance, do the self-observation, be willing to take very, very detached, completely egoless perspectives of yourself in the context of the relationship in order to maximize the energy of the love and the relationship that you have already, okay? So it requires tremendous humility to do that and a tremendous willingness to, let's say, give oneself over to the perspectives that you're going to discover by deliberately detaching your ego from expectations and then allowing like the real thing to happen, the spirit energy to move through you and the relationship, nurtured and supported by a loved one here who is conscientious. Okay, what about inside of them? Okay, my feeling is that they see this as a lucky break. They see this as like, this is a big deal for me. This is my chance to uh, almost come into their own. It's almost like they see this as like their own mission. It's like their mission is to be this kind of person for you, Taurus, where they love the idea of being the person who helps you to maintain yourself, heal yourself, who loves being a participant in your own journey of your own like um, spiritual evolution here. Um, like they're making it their day job. Like they're knocking on your door and saying, "Excuse me, person, I can see you need some landscaping. You might not know it, but I'm the only one around who can handle this, so I'm just making my services available to you." And you get it, you understand that, and then once the deal is done, it's just like, yeah, I scored, man. I've always wanted to be like, it's like, this is going to sound really bizarre, but like someone who always wanted to be very close to the action, where they have a deep sense of significance and meaning and vision and purpose of their own in the context of a relationship. Like these energies here with the other are so completely different from your energies here, but they are so complementary because they very much want to be with you and they see this as an opportunity and for them to like almost enjoy what I feel as like a massive, that like they've scored big time. This is like almost like, I don't want to say dream come true, but this is like a very big deal for them. This is the chance for them to get onto their own, evolutionary roller coaster where they are going to be going through the processes of intimacy and separation with you as you live through your own part of the journey as well. What about the relationship itself? Okay. Now, you have to be very, very, very careful here, Taurus, okay? Because of this energy. So there's a lot at stake here. I feel that there's a lot of stake here for you, Taurus. And the other party knows that, and that there are a lot of vulnerabilities here. Because in some ways, it's almost like, you know, one of the lovely things I love about this card, it's almost like dreams come true type of energy. It's literally having that great connection with the great divine. It is like, I often use this like the Einstein card, where the energy of divine inspiration is available to you, to both of you, to the whole relationship, simply by making the decision to, let's say, sublimate yourself. They uh, make the big leap to put themselves deep into this crucible called the relationship, where this amazing alchemical stuff happens, where it's like almost like a dream come true for both parties, where they might not be able to understand everything about how it works all the time, but it happened through like prayer, where it just arrives and it's here now, and now we're going to make it work, we're going to make it happen. But because it's very, very, let's say, very closely related to the energy of heaven, it's also extremely delicate and extremely fragile, and it's going to require tremendous amount of, let's say, clear perception, and stealth in order to keep things going. Like, neither party here can afford to mess up in this relationship. It requires a lot of diligence, care, and love and attention, because if you're in a relationship here, Taurus, with a significant other, where it is almost impossible to believe, where it is like a dream come true situation, to the point where you say, this is not real. Okay, this is stupid. This doesn't happen. This is just cuckoo land stuff. And yet it's happening. It does exist. I feel that this is the energy of heaven coming down into the embodiment of a relationship, in the context of a relationship, so that things can unfold for yourself and another on your own path, uh, through the context of a relationship. Where does this go? Okay. Ha. Okay. Wow, we've got some very big cards here. I'm feeling very much like this. Okay. I've never done that on a spread before, but that's what I'm feeling here. This is very much, I don't like the whole concept of fate, but I feel like there are bigger things that are going on in this relationship, that are above and beyond your understanding, above and beyond their understanding. And it's much more to do with a question of surrendering to the great beyond, surrendering to this beautiful thing of divinity, which is almost like the Saturn energy that we're talking about here. When you talk about Saturn and Capricorn, it's very much about structure and manifestation, and bringing something so extremely rare and fragile into substance, into manifestation, requires a lot of long-term diligence and a tremendous trust in what you could call the fates. And the same for yourself, Taurus. Tremendous trust in being willing to just completely live through this like you're watching your own movie of yourself, and having to edit your life as you go along. So it's an amazing experience, and it brings not just you, not just the other, but the whole, let's say, phenomenon of relationship to a new level of understanding, like a new template, so to speak. I've heard this word being used, uh, um, where the whole idea of the template of the relationship dynamic, phenomenon of relationship, is changing on very, 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 very deep, very, very subtle levels. And someone has to live it through. Someone has to be able to live through this, to bring it into reality, to be a, let's say, a messenger, a communicator of what is this new template. What are the new templates of love and relationship? Because it feels to me that both of you are very deeply committed here to something amazing happening, and you're both aware of how incredibly, let's say, I'm not saying, what's the word, treacherous, when you go on a very treacherous mission, where there's a lot of danger ahead, where you could easily get sabotaged, you could easily sabotage them, they could easily sabotage you, experiences and external forces could easily sabotage the whole thing. So it requires you and the other in a deep committed relationship here, where you abandon yourself to something much bigger and you go with it. And it's very, very, very much to do with a deep learning experience for both of you, where the outcome is the awareness of a new template, and you don't know what that is. There's no way to define what that is right now in the context of this relationship. The whole idea is that you are stepping into the unknown, and someone's got to do it. Someone with a lot of courage and somebody willing to stand by your side. Okay, so go Taurus. Okay, and in a few years, maybe you'll tell us what this is all about. Okay, thank you so much, Taurus. It's been a pleasure to read for you. I wish you all the best. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.